Talking Music with Big Andy. This week, the Battery Farm, talking music with me, Big Andy. Hi there. Before we get into the main podcast, I just wanted to say if you could subscribe and like the videos and listen to all the podcasts, the bands that you may not have heard of or bands that you don't know if you like, try them out because it might be worth your while. Also, if you're interested in films, science fiction and horror films, maybe take a listen to my other podcast called the Sci-Fi Film Podcast, which is available on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. That's the Sci-Fi Film Podcast, where we review short horror and science fiction films that are all available for you to watch on YouTube. Thank you very much. Now on with the show. Hello and welcome to the podcast. I have with me this week, I'll get your names right, Dominic and Ben Corrie from the Battery Farm. Hi guys.
Yes, that's correct.
Hello, Andy. Nice to meet you, Andy. Hello.
Good to meet you too. Now, it says here that you're, I read two different things. You're either a gutter punk band or a boom punk band.
Right. We settled on gutter punk now. I need to remove our lecture to doom punk from all bios, which I haven't got around to doing yet. Those are two things that were blatantly and shamelessly stolen from other bands. So the term gutter punk was cribbed from a band called Bone Shake, who are our great friends in Manchester. If you've not heard them, check them out. Like a proper blues rock band in the vein of a Grinder Man and things like that. Really great. And then the doom punk thing was stolen from Witch Fever, who were obviously amazing and really on the up. But I just saw two terms that I liked, two terms that were vaguely applicable to what we were doing, and couldn't decide. So I just sent different things out at different times.
I've said it before on some of the shows, but I still think it's sad that in this day and age that we still have to give people labels.
Yeah, it is. It is, and I think we touched on it briefly before we started recording. That we may be starting to feel that we've been lumped in with the sort of post-punk crowd, and again, I don't really know what post-punk even means now. The bands that like The Fall, I don't even like The Fall.
I don't know. Well, apart from John Peel, I'm not sure anybody did like The Fall.
Well, yeah. You'd be surprised. God, I can't believe how revered they are. I've never. Anyway, I'm getting off track. But
yeah.
I'm not.
No, I know. Yeah.
But yeah, labels. It's an odd one because we're at a place now. We've just finished recording this week, and I'm kind of at a place now where we just want to do what we want. So we're not going to be a gutter punk band for much longer. So people. What I worry is that people set up certain expectations, and that you'll get a real backlash when you try something different, because people have got these preconceived notions. But got to roll with the punches and see how it goes.
You can't win as a band. You can't win though, because I always found that you either you get people saying, why have they changed so much? Or if you just do like status quo and play the same songs and the same album every time you record an album, everyone says, why have they changed?
Exactly. You're exactly right there. I think we, the reason we sort of put that out initially when the band first started, or tried to get like a genre going for it, is because, I don't know, we felt like it was quite important to sort of get a genre in there whilst we were just starting up, and because, like I think we've touched on it before in other interviews, Ben said that a lot of the songs are very the early songs are very aggressive, and they kind of still are, but we thought, oh well, that goes with that. But it's funny though, because we're kind of not really put like guttery, punky looking chaps. Are we?
Yeah, we've sort of broadened the old horizons with what we've been recording and writing recently. But the first wave of songs was basically the band was formed in like a I don't want to sound pretentious or wanky, but like a fire of sort of catharsis and dread and depression and mental illness. So it's all this raw, guttural, fucking hard punk music, which is something we're not trying to move away from, but just I think naturally sort of evolving away from a little bit with this new stuff, because we don't necessarily really feel that way anymore. I know I'm certainly a lot happier than I was 2 years ago. So it's you know, you can only really as a creative and as a writer, you can only really react to your surroundings and react to your circumstances at that point. So yeah, just see how it's received. But ultimately, we're writing this for us. We're doing this shit for us at the moment, and that's the way it is.
No, that's fair enough. I mean, I just say I can't stand labels like that. I've always hated this whole thing. But the trouble is nowadays, you get places like Spotify and other places like that, you've got to give them a genre to.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Like the amount of times I've gone on Spotify to put our songs on, I've been like, well, it's kind of not. I don't really like putting that. Like you have to put. Generally, it's like alternative, and it's like, is that very vague and broad? And it's like,
like punk's a big umbrella, isn't it? Because I came across Spotify's punk playlist that they do every month, and there's you get Yard Act next to Witch Fever, next to Sleaford Mods, next to Idols, and they're all completely different things. And I don't really know what like punk is. Like to me, punk is just doing whatever you want. There's a misconception to me around what punk is. Like there's a lot of sort of attempts to be uniform within the punk aesthetic, and I think there is no punk aesthetic. I think there's a punk ideology, and the punk ideology is what Kurt Cobain said about the word Nirvana. It's freedom from pain. It's freedom, and it's freedom of expression. It's ultimate freedom of mind, of soul, and it's kindness and community as well at its core. And I think like that sort of gets lost in what in the like cartoon perception of what a bloody punk rocker is. So
no, I agree completely. Right, let's go back to the beginning. You got together and you had put your first EP out in 2020. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Called Endless Unstoppable Pain.
Yes, that's correct.
It's understated.
Well, we with the title there, we popped a smiley face emoji on the end of it, just because I thought it'd be really funny to think of like the most petulant, the most petulant title I could think of, the most petulant doomy title I could think of, and then whack a smiley face on the end. I was trying to be knowing, and I don't know, maybe I was trying too hard, but it's Endless Unstoppable Pain. So we formed in 2019. We put 4 singles out before that. Me and Dom have actually been in bands together for 10 years, so we're brothers, as you won't have been able to tell because we look nothing alike. But we're brothers, and we've been playing together for 10 years now. Formed the Battery 5 in 2019, off the back of a band that we've been in for 8 years, splitting up, and it sort of rolled from there, really. We released those 4 singles, and then Endless Unstoppable Pain was sort of the definitive snapshot of where we were at that point, really. I don't know, Don, what do you think about?
I'd agree. I think everything that we've done and what we will continue to do is just going to be a snapshot of where we are at that particular time. You know what I mean? It's just one of them things. It just goes how it goes, and we're happy to let it just roll how it does.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And your first single, I think it was your first single, 97, 91.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I really like that, to be honest. It's got something.
Thank you.
I think it's really odd. I played it to a friend of mine, and the first thing he said was something which came into my mind. Was he said it's really weird. He said it sounds like John Cooper Clarke talking over the top of a punk single.
I like that. I'll say that, to be honest. Yeah. So 97, 91. I don't know if you'd managed to sort of glean any information on 97, 91, but it's got a bit of a story behind it. So what it's about? Well, no, it's not about this, but it takes the 1993 murder of Suzanne Capper, which happened in Moston in North Manchester, which is where we're from.
Yeah.
It takes that as a jumping off point and it is like the most horrific. Don't read about it. It's the most horrific thing you'll ever read about. But it takes that as a jumping off point to explore ideas about desensitization and the detachment that we all have to sort of impose upon ourselves to be able to get through every day with the constant atrocities that happen across the world. And by that I sort of mean, basically I read about this case and went down an ill-advised rabbit hole with it, and it really upset me because it's really hideous, the whole thing. It stayed with me for a long time afterwards. But what I got to thinking about is because it was in Moston, and it was on street. It happened in streets that we knew well, and we know the area, we know the people in the area. It was made all the more visceral to me. My reaction, it was made all the more impactful, and it was all the scarier and more stomach churning. And I got to think about my reaction to that, as opposed to my reaction to, say, like the bombings of Yemen or horrific things that happen day after day after day. And I wanted to sort of, I got down to thinking of like, is something only real to us if we can see it, as it sort of mentions at the end of the song, and why I wanted to sort of explore ideas of why we detach ourselves from things, and ultimately like came to the conclusion that it was a fucking survival mechanism. So the song's actually about that, but it uses that case as a jumping off point to explore that, and yeah, it was a statement piece to open with. It's always sorry.
No.
I was just going to say that we actually we'd practiced it with the band that we were previously in, like a few times just before we split up. Okay. And we sort of knew then, when that all fell apart, and then we sort of started to build the Battery Found, that was going to be the sort of the ultimate sort of thing. Like,
yeah, because it was the first single. It's traditionally like the song we open with. And to be honest, because of the subject matter of things like that, I have started to go off it in recent times. I don't like it as much as I used to, because I find it quite difficult, and I find it not laborious, but I find it an emotional sort of slog to think about and get into. But obviously we'll keep it. It's just a case of, everyone else loves it, so like it's not going anywhere.
Yeah,
I like it.
it's difficult. I think sometimes if you've got a lot personally invested in something like a song like that, mentally and emotionally, it's difficult sometimes to keep doing it time after time after time and still have
Yeah,
the same feeling towards it.
Exactly.
yeah, absolutely. And sorry, Dom.
Oh, I was just going to say that, like, from a guitarist perspective and someone who doesn't really know the lyrics off by heart, other than when I've heard it recorded, it's easy for me to say, sort of, yeah, I love this song, but I can totally understand whereby if you were the writer of the lyrics and you wrote the lyrics and the lyrics had come from your brain, how it would get knackering trying
Yeah.
to churn that emotion out every single time you play it.
I just think with that song, I'm always really wary of it coming across as like pornography. You know what I mean? Like it's sort of using this horrific thing and reveling in it, which it's not, and
Yeah.
that's never the intention. But the more I've sort of, you know, like the more I've got older and the more we've sort of played it and I've gone through it, the less I'm comfortable with it. You know what I mean? For sort of that reason, I don't want to be exploitative or anything like that, and I don't. It doesn't sit as well with me as it used to.
I think it's an important, from my point. Obviously, it's a bit like lame. We're talking about our own song, but I think it's important I think it's an important thing to sort of have out there, and it's an important discussion to have. You know what I mean? Like, so you shouldn't detach yourself from it. If as a brother, I'd say don't detach yourself from that song, Ben, because it's good and people need to hear it. You know what I mean? And people need to understand what it's about. So,
I agree. I think the thing is about it's at a time when, like the song itself is saying, at a time when a lot of people detach themselves from that kind of thing all the time. It's good to hear somebody out there saying, look,
exactly,
we're detaching ourselves and we shouldn't be.
Yeah, so I appreciate that as well. I think that's, and like you say, that's probably the main reason I'll keep it around in the set, and I appreciate you sort of getting that as well, because the big worry, I'm really self-conscious for that one, because the big worry I have is that someone down the line will see it as like an exploitation piece, and it really is.
Yeah, no, it's a difficult line to tread, that sort of thing, especially when you. I mean, it's one of the things I read about you guys. One of the places it describes you as being a bunch of lefties. Which you know, I mean, some people use that as a term of sort of like a thing to annoy people, or to say, "Oh, a bunch of lefties." Personally, I think it's a compliment.
I think it is as well. You know, I'm happier to be a big lefty snowflake than I am to be some fucking zealot. So like, it's fine by me. I don't mind that.
I didn't like the term snowflake at all. I hated when people used to call me snowflake, until I read a tweet. One guy answered somebody who called him a snowflake. He said, "Yeah, well, when lots of snowflakes come together, they can cause an avalanche."
An avalanche, yeah. I read that. I read the same tweet, and it's correct. So you know, I don't care about that. I was in the same boat. It used to be like, oh, the one thing you've got me with is that you'll really wind me up with that. But actually, like, you know, take it as a compliment. That's the way to disarm anything like that. Take any old, you know, take that shit as a compliment and move on.
Yeah, but it's the social conscience comes across in your music, not just about big issues like on 97, 91, but on more smaller, more personal, more individual sort of lines as well. I mean, I like a Little Nothing Man is a brilliant song.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. I don't know. I wasn't expecting it, because it sounds so different from the other stuff. It's kind of like, you know, I was expecting everything to be a bit kind of like, you know, and in your face, and then I put a Little Nothing Man on, and I thought, wow, this is really not what I was expecting at all. But it's brilliant. I love it. I love that song.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we thought that. Well, it's my personal favorite on the previous EP, just because it's like the. I don't know, like you said, obviously the other three songs are very loud and very intense, and then we always said that there needed to be if you're going to have a collection of songs, personally, I think for someone to remain invested in it, like it's good to have this breather where you sort of almost you're given time to get your head around what you've listened to, sort of thing. And
Yeah.
that's what I really like about it. Just even where it's placed in the EP as well.
Yeah, we didn't give him too much time because it kicks off in the second half of it. But you get that first half. Yeah.
A little nothing man fighting flames of his failure with his little nothing hands, fighting flames with name of shame and pain, fighting flames that mock his name, fighting them to soothe the pain. With nothing but his skin, with nothing but his a little nothing man foraging forever in a barren broken land. Mortals like trapdoor spiders lie submerged beneath the sand. Enough to nourish, but not enough to make him whole. Enough to nourish, but not enough to make him whole. And he's always empty. Dogs in fighter jets cannot fly. Dogs in fighter jets cannot fly. What happens to us when we die? What happens to us when we die? What happens to us when we die? What happens to us when we die?
It's interesting in as much as that's sort of what I was saying about it being more of a sort of personal statement, because it's almost looking at an ordinary everyday person's life,
Yeah.
rather than a big issue. It's kind of like the normal sort of like what everybody goes through, everybody.
Yeah, I think we have actually touched on it. Ben has touched on it lots of times in his lyrics, the sort of introspection and how you sort of, as your life progresses and it doesn't necessarily go the way you want to, how much pain that can cause you, and that's something that also should be addressed. Just because you go through life and failures are there doesn't mean they can't hurt, and doesn't mean you can be strong all the time in the face of them. You know what I mean? And I really like that sentiment in that song as well. From the perspective of someone who hasn't written it, I keep wanting to stress that because it sounds like I'm just being a big wanker about my own songs, but I'm talking about them in as appreciating my brother's poetry.
Yeah. Listen, you're the riff guy. Yeah, stick to your lane. No, yeah. I think Dom's and both of you pretty much nailed it with that one. And I'm glad it's been mentioned because it gets overlooked, I think, because it's sort of the dark horse among the catalogue of the Nothing Man, and it does tend to get overlooked a little bit. But it is about that sort of sense of introspection and like ruminating on the disappointments in your life, and ruminating on the vast almighty plan that you had that didn't pan out the way you wanted it to, and like Dom said, the pain that causes. I fucking love that song because it's one of my favorites to sing, because like just physically anyway, it's really nice to sort of bring it right back down in the first half and then absolutely pelt at it in the second half of the song. So it's I'm pleased you picked that up.
I think the thing about it is that if people were completely honest, I think the chances are, I would say 99% of people have these big dreams and big things that they have when they're kids and when they're growing up as a teenager, and they never get to actually do them.
Exactly.
And their life changes completely and goes in a completely different direction. And I wonder how many people, if they really sat down and thought about it, would look at their lives and go, God, I wish it had gone the way I wanted it to, rather than the way
and that's what I think, because it's such a lifelong spanning thing. I think there's a massive stigma about it, and there's a people obviously people are scared to discuss it in the sense that, oh God, it's how can I possibly discuss this deep-seated pain inside me that is I've failed, like these dreams that I've had, and obviously it is a difficult subject to discuss, but I think again it's one of them that should be like.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But it just makes people feel better, doesn't it? I think, well, from my standpoint, I've obviously things haven't gone the way I've wanted them to in my life, and I've got sort of catharsis from the art that I've created and the discussion that art has created. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I think also, like, sorry, Andy, we're hijacking your podcast.
No, it's fine. That's what this is about.
I think it's also important to sort of like not be afraid of acceptance as well of that, and not be afraid of coming to peace with everything. Like, I'm really happy now, you know. I've got a nice life. I've got a baby just arrived. We have a nice, well, comfortable and stuff. And obviously, it's not the big dream that I had when I was a teenager, or in my 20s, or in my early 20s, or whatever. I'm still in my 20s, in my early 20s, or whatever. But just because you've accepted yourself doesn't mean that it's a failure. And I think I wrote A Little Nothing Man in a moment of like self-flagellation, and why I appreciate it is that it's a snapshot of the violence of that thought process, and it's a sort of reminder of why that isn't healthy, and why it's okay to just be happy.
Yeah, no, I can see that. It's really good. So you were saying you've just finished doing some recording. Have you been working on new material on that during the lockdown thing?
Yeah, we've got tons of songs written, and we've been able to put together 3 in the practice room of the like 20 that we've written throughout the pandemic. So 3 of those, all 3 of those are on the EP. Can I say it's an EP? Well, I'll put it on post.
The new release.
The new release.
A brand new.
We've already said it now. The new 5-track release. So yeah, I don't give too much away about it yet, but we've got some really fun ideas for it. Can I go into a bit more about themes on it and stuff like that?
It's your songs, Ben. Yeah, I'm not your manager.
I will say now that this probably won't be out for about another 6 weeks. So.
Oh, there you go. Then I think we don't want to be too cloak and dagger about it, do we?
I'm not. I don't.
Right. So I'm not going to give the name away or anything like that, but the concepts we wanted to do. This sounds so wacky, but bear with me. An exploration of the moment of death through the medium of soap opera. So we've built the whole thing around references to soap characters, and like twinned that with what it's like to die. Like, there's obviously, we don't know that, none of us know that, but you know, you can use your imagination. Like, there's a song called I've Never Been to Gorton on it. And basically, it's just a song about I've never been to Gorton, which is like a suburb of South Manchester. And it's the only place in Manchester I've actually got into. And it's basically just a song about that. But it's sort of like a comment on the weird, mundane shit that you would probably think. You'd be like, oh, in the moment of death, imagine if you were just like, you know what, I never actually even went to Gorton, and it's only around the corner. Why didn't I? So we're trying to sort of come at it from all angles, and it's not as...
That's not
sounds. It's like we're trying for it to. If we can pull this off, it'll be something like joyful, and weird, which will be nice.
Yeah. No, it does sound rather interesting. It's a fascinating idea, right?
Well, we've done because we've named it after a soap character. We've named it, the name. All right, I'm not going to say the name, but the name is a combination of a famous 80s soap character and what the North Korean government called the famine that happened in the 90s.
Okay.
So that's the name of it. And then we're doing a few like little surprises. So it's not like outside of the 5 tracks. We've done a few little surprises for it that are sort of based around the moments of deaths of particular soap characters. And it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, it sounds it. It sounds. I'm fascinated. I can't wait to hear it. To be honest.
Thank you. Thanks.
So you've only just finished recording that, yeah?
We finished it on Monday.
The Monday, yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, so we're looking obviously later in the year we're going to make some announcements when the time's right, but it'll be our first release through Blindside Records as well. We've just signed to, so looking forward to getting to work with them on that stuff as well. It's all bloody go at the moment.
Barring gigs, of course, but we'll get
there.
there.
Yeah, there's no gigs, but yeah, there will be.
We'll get there.
Let's have a look at one more video.
We're all gonna die, and it's all our fault. We're all gonna die, and it's all our fault. The children that we swore will get the chance to go. We're all gonna die, and it won't be
So I was going to say, where do you see going from here? Where would you like to go from here?
It's an interesting question, isn't it? We don't. It's a difficult one. Just wherever the instincts take us. That sounds really like cop-out-ish, doesn't it? But like,
well, we've got a plan, and we've got things we want to do, but at the same time, like, we don't want to get so invested in it that it becomes unhealthy, because we've done that before, and we're very much just doing this now. Ultimately, like, obviously we want as many people to hear it as possible. Ultimately, we're doing it for us and for the sense of catharsis that it gives us. Yeah. Hopefully, other people can take something from that too. In terms of where we actually want it to go, just basically to continue the upward trajectory that it's on. We work really hard and we've worked really hard to come as far as we've come in the last 2 years, which for us is pretty far. So we just want to keep finding ways to boost it, basically, and keep finding ways to get to do cool shit that we wouldn't have even dreamed of being able to do a couple of years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
So we got some, even this year, next year, we've got some really exciting stuff coming up in terms of gigs that I would never have thought we'd have been able to get 5 years ago or something like that in our previous band, because we just didn't have the focus and we were taking it too seriously, and we were too bogged down in failure and or our perception of failure, and it all just became a big hand-wringing exercise. To answer, we've answered a simple question with a complicated answer, basically.
Sorry.
The long and short of it is we'll just see where it takes us, but we just basically want it to continue going up.
Okay, no, sounds good to me. So I mean, have you got gigs already sort of waiting for when everything comes out of the big lockdown bubble that we're in, or is it something you're going to have to start working at again to get the gigs up?
No, so we've got them all booked from July to October. We're booked up.
Just a case of whether they actually go ahead, basically.
Yeah, so obviously it's all provisional, this, but 2nd of July is our first gig back at the Castle, supporting a band called Liars Club. The Castle in Manchester, supporting a band called Liars Club. That's a really great lineup. There's us, Chihuahua, who are a really great sort of post-hardcore mappy punk band. They're a lot of fun. Swine, who are a great sort of alt punk, I guess, post-punk band from Manchester. And then Liars Club headlining it, a band from Barrow, who are fucking unbelievable, really raw, ferocious punk. So it'll be a good night, and obviously
Sorry.
Thank you. So yeah, it's been a long time coming, and I think we're gonna sort of explode big time once it finally happens. But yeah, that's the first one, and then we got plenty of stuff from there. I think we're at Gulliver's in October. We're in Northwich. We booked something very special for Sheffield at the end of July, which I can't announce yet, but that'll be really great. So yeah, plenty on the go.
So are you planning on playing up and down the country? I mean, will you be coming down to us? Because I'm stuck down here in what seems to be at the moment the barren wasteland of London. Because most of the bands that I've talked to haven't been coming from London. To be honest with you.
Yeah. No, it's a tough one. So we went down to play Workhouse on Brick Lane at the tail end of 2019, and we were able, like, there was literally about 2 people. It's if it's worth it. It's if we can get on a decent enough lineup to like justify sort of the expense of it and the effort it takes to come down. But I certainly want to. Like, we're talking to people about certain things at the moment. So if we can get on a good lineup where we're not, doing the heavy lifting on it, then I definitely want to. It's just got to be right. But I can't make any promises, obviously.
I'll tell you, the way things are going at the moment with the amount of bands that I see coming out of Manchester and the surrounding area, I think what you need to do is see if you get together with someone and put a package together of 4 or 5 bands to come down and do a sort of.
Well, yeah, I was thinking because
couple of nights.
Yeah, well, our friends Cold Water Swimmers did this before the pandemic. They went down to play. They asked us to do it, but we were unavailable. So they went down to play the Gunners pub in where is it? Is it in Woolwich or somewhere like that? Anyway, it's an Arsenal pub, so they went down and played there, but it's a proper music venue as well. And I was thinking of this will be news to Chris because I haven't asked him yet, but I was thinking of asking them if they wanted to do it again, but with us this time, and maybe take a couple of others, because Chris was in Dubsex. So with Cold Water Swimmers generally draw an half decent crowd wherever they go because of that. Not just because of that, obviously they're really good, but like that association helps. So I think that'd be really good. But yeah, I'll have to speak to him about that. Actually, that is a good idea. So watch this space.
I'll look forward to it, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm putting together a good list of bands that I want to go and see after the pandemic finishes.
Me too.
I mean, everybody I'm interviewing I want to go and see live. So.
That's the best way to be. Yeah, there's some just like, well, obviously we were talking about it again before we recorded, but the Manchester scene, certainly our corner of it anyway, is the most like powerful it's been ever. I think certainly I've been in bands since 2005. And it's the most like inclusive and community minded and innovative I've ever seen it. Everyone's really friendly, but they're also bringing outside perspectives because not everyone on the scene's from Manchester now. They're all people are coming in from like London or Gibraltar or Edinburgh, and that's just to name a few people that I could think of off the top of my head. And it's bringing like.
The thing about it as well is the fact that the bands are so varied. It's not the same as it was. When the Britpop thing was happening, because of the fact that every band seems to have their own individual kind of sound and their own individual sort of feel.
Yeah, they definitely do. Sorry, I'm just putting my phone on charge to 100%. Won't be a second. Right. That's the child's toy you can hear in the background. I've just stood on it. It's my best friend. With me, play with me. There we go. That's that. Yeah, nice little interlude there. But yeah, no. So it's like we were saying then, like you were saying then, and it's the sounds are all really varied and the aesthetics are all really varied, and everyone's bringing original ideas to the table. Again, while sort of identifying with the same ethos of like inclusivity and sort of general left-wing politics that we're all sort of feels like we're all fighting the same battle, and it's it's really nice.
I think everyone's got the same idea in terms of just doing what they want as well and just going with the gut. No one's trying to sound like anyone else. Everyone's just doing what they love and
Yeah,
creating the art that they like to create. And that's why I think it's blossoming so much.
yeah. No, I agree. I've heard some great bands coming out of Manchester, and I've liked all of them, and I'm hoping to interview more for the show. Well, thank you very much for joining me. It's been great talking to you. I hope everything goes really well with the new release and with your future plans and whatever they may be. And as I say, I hope maybe we'll see you down south here. Us soft southerners need some good northern music to get on with.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'm
love
up
to,
for it.
yeah,
I'm up for it. I'll play wherever.
We'll sort something. We'll sort something. Yeah, I'll keep you posted.
Okay, thank you very much. Great
you.
to see you.
Yeah,
Great,
lovely to meet you. Thank you.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
Andy.
Yeah.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.
Thank you for everybody for tuning in and for listening and watching the show. Come back and see another one. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
You know.
Talking music with Big Andy.